Everybody, what's going on? Fabian for Liberty, fabianforliberty.com. My free webinar on common real estate myths that I'm teaching today is actually at 4 p.m. Pacific time, not 3 p.m., and that registration link is down below. A lot of great content we're going to be covering, and hopefully it's going to open people's eyes up to the opportunity in the real estate market, and it may or may not be for you, but anyways, I think you'll enjoy it. The link is down below. This topic dovetails really well into the topic of this video, which is a story that came out on Market Watch, several other media outlets reporting it. A majority of Americans, according to Bankrate.com, a majority of Americans, in fact 63% up from 62% last year, are living one paycheck away from being homeless. In fact, if there was a medical emergency, if there was a car breakdown, family emergency, they wouldn't be able to pay it. That's it. And I find this so interesting. I've been watching, I don't watch TV, but I do watch sometimes like a Netflix series or a different series. And lately I've been watching Boardwalk Empire. If you've seen it, it's 1920s, Nookie Thompson, a bunch of other gangsters in Atlantic City. And there's one point where guy's kind of complaining, and the lead guy, Nookie Thompson, says something like, you're in America, make it happen, or something along the lines of that. Talking about how in the 1920s, America was like really incredible opportunity. You could almost say it's like, I don't know, like Asia today, or parts of Central America today, or parts of South America today, where there's unprecedented opportunity. I still believe that opportunity exists in America. In fact, I've often talked about it in light of all the kind of negative things that I talk about, that other people talk about. And when I say negative, I mean just the reality. I mean, look, the reality of the economy is that wages aren't going up. You have Democratic strategists and pundits out there saying that we're reaching full employment. I mean, it is insane. But nonetheless, there's opportunity out there. And I think that's why we're in the golden age of business. There's things that are around today that were not around 100 years ago, where anyone can start a business. And I say anyone, I've been chastised for saying anyone. People are like, oh, well, not anyone can do it. Really, anyone can do it. It's really more, though, the people that choose to do it. I was, circling back to real estate, I was looking at some of the comments yesterday that I posted regarding these myths of real estate. And one of them was interesting. They were like, oh, well, no money down or real estate is what got us into the 2008 crash. I mean, pure ignorance. No money down loans got us into, that was about $800 to $1 trillion was the subprime bubble. Interestingly enough, the credit-worthy bubble was much larger than that, was over $1 trillion, made to credit-worthy borrowers, where some money had to be put down, and those went bust as well. A good number of those went bust as well. In real estate investing, just to talk on that, you don't need to have money or credit. You don't need to have loans. I mean, yes, does it help if you have some money? It does, but you don't need it. And the reason I mentioned that topic is because there's myths out there and people buy into it. And I've been reading, I've been doing a lot of reading comments on my YouTube channels. And, I'd say most of them are pretty good. And most of them just people giving their opinions, A lot of them are just so based on scarcity that it's amazing. I'll wrap it up with this, There's a lot of people out there that look, I mean, just because there's opportunity out there, it doesn't mean that people have a hard life. Sometimes life is hard and sometimes things happen. You might have a good job and, through a chain of events, you lose that job and, you're kind of stuck and you don't know what to do. And to start a new business, it takes time. Doesn't matter what business it may be. It could take 30, 60, a year to make some money back. Who knows, depending on what you're doing. But does the opportunity exist? It does. And what we're seeing with the 63% of Americans one paycheck away from poverty, or not from poverty, from homelessness, is a failure of the job paradigm, ladies and gentlemen. It is a failure of the educational paradigm. It is a failure of all the paradigms that the corporate media, that the multinational corporations have put in play to really, I don't like to say this, but in essence, it's very true, to make almost like this new slave class that is dependent. I mean, quite frankly, where does government want people? Do they want people empowered, doing well for themselves and recognizing, wow, I really don't need government? Or do they want people barely getting by recognizing or believing that they need government to help them pay their bills or pay for their cell phone or pay for their food or pay for their housing or, pay their, let them write off their mortgage interest, whatever it may be. And, this is it's a sucky headline. It really is. 63% of Americans, it really, really sucks. One paycheck away. It doesn't have to be that way. And look, I talk about real estate investing, and real estate investing is not for everyone. I get it. Stocks and bonds aren't for everyone. But I believe we live in a world where if you are passionate about a subject matter, you can monetize that subject matter today. And I get some people will bash this. Some people won't like it. And what does that say about them? I can make a lot of different assumptions on what it says about them, but what matters is you, the individual. Don't take my word for anything, and certainly don't take word of people that have been calling for an economic collapse since 2008 or longer. Because like I've always said, in any business cycle, they're bound to get it right eventually. I could sit here and I could talk about the greatest boom in American history. It will eventually happen. I don't know when. Just like the biggest crash will happen, and it will happen, probably sooner than later. I don't know. All I do know is that for today, there's opportunity out there, and you just got to see what you want to, do you want to be part of the 63%? You don't have to be. Love to hear your feedback on this. Again, the webinar is today at 4 p.m. Link is down below. Really excited about teaching this all new content. Thanks for listening. I'm out.